computer. Welcome, everyone. Sandra Alexei here, and I am so excited today. It is November the 24th, 2022, and we have a brand new segment that we're working on, and what a time. We have a new moon in Sagittarius, which is very inspiring. We have Jupiter that just went retrograde, and I'm going to talk to you about our wonderful, mysterious guest. But first of all, Game Changer, okay, is a new model of relationships, very Aquarian. You can go to the top and you can see where you can order it from Amazon, makes a great gift. If you go underneath, it's Show Me. In the Show Me section, there's my website. So Sandra Alexei Moren, astrologer, numerologist, business and spiritual coach, and I work with people on self-discovery, and you can see the services I offer. Number one, I'd appreciate it if you would share, if you would subscribe to the channel, and if you comment. You comment once a month, I do a draw. Now that's it. Now I'm going to introduce Lesley and Ken, okay? And what they're going to do is they're going to tell you what they do and how they were a part of Game Changer. I have known this couple for years, and the bottom line is what they do is very unique, and Game Changer is the new model of relationships. And I believe that this couple actually live it, number one. And number two, the work they do is very interesting as to the process of discernment. Okay, now I'm going to be quiet, and Lesley and Ken can go ahead. Tell me all about you guys.
Well, thank you so much, Sandy. What an honor it is to, number one, be on your new series, dialoguing with so many people. You could literally choose anybody, and I thank you so much for choosing to speak with us. And not only to dialogue with you in this way, but I've said it for years since you asked us to read the manuscript for Game Changer. What an honor it was to be asked to endorse that book. So, but everybody who knows me knows I better shut up and let Ken talk first.
Well,
maybe he can introduce who we are. Go on.
Not often do I get a chance to talk first, and today will be no different. Unless we get the lead on that. Of course, I'm Ken. This is my wife, Lesley. Our last name is Donaldson. We have a unique job. We run a company called ITR Polygraph Service, and we work all over Canada. So wherever people need our help, we go. We travel extensively across mostly Western Canada, but across the country, doing polygraph examinations for a variety of reasons. We do corporate work, we work for attorneys, insurance companies, but we do a pile of work for people with addiction issues. We do a lot of couples counseling, almost counseling, and helping them resolve issues that they just can't seem to get to the bottom of without coming to see us and get someone to verify that someone's either telling the truth or not telling the truth. And we're kind of blessed in a way that when we do that and we're able to talk with people, you know, we're able to share a little bit about our relationship and what makes our life work. And, you know, that's really rewarding for us. You know, it's kind of like almost a pay it forward sort of thing. So, you know, Lesley and I have been together for over 30 years. We're married for 29 years this year. I hope that number is right, or I'll hear about it later. But but you know, like anything, relationship is about work. You know, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So you need to work on your relationship as much as you work on your career, as much as you work on your home, your vehicle, anything that you value. You need to work on it, or it's going to deteriorate. So, you know, that's the big thing that we try to tell people is you're going to get out of your relationship what you put into it. The other thing we like to tell people is that, you know what, a good relationship isn't disposable. It's fixable. So yes, you may have problems in your relationship and things may not go the way you want at the time you want, but Does that mean you're going to throw out the baby with the bathwater? No, sometimes these things are worth fixing. And, you know, sometimes there comes a point where you have to draw the line and move on. But, you know, we try to give people great advice. You know, that the truth will set anybody free. We'll help anybody tell the truth. And neither one of us will help anybody lie to save a relationship. That's not the way we roll. So I don't know, Lesley, am I missing anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell the good people what we're missing?
You know, and that's what makes Ken and I work. Is Ken is he's the polygraph examiner, he's the husband, he has a totally different role, and I have a totally different role. I have, ever since I was a kid, actually, you know, Sandy, I wanted to share with you and maybe with your listeners that you know, people want to know, is there love at first sight? Do you know, how do you know when you've met that person? And so, you know, when I moved to BC a year,
Right.
so many moons ago, Sandy, when I was young, and I moved to BC, and I told my mom, I'm going to go and I'm going to find tall, dark, and handsome. And when I do, I'll be back. Well, I went to BC. Now I might have been there with somebody else, but you know what? Never mind. That was, you know, my journey to meeting Ken.
That's right.
But, you know, there came a time when we had met at a actually, we're in beautiful BC. Thank you for catching up with us here, Sandy.
Great.
And it's actually where Ken and I met many, many years ago. I left St. Albert, Alberta, to come to Abbotsford, BC. And I met Ken at an Abbotsford Air Show appreciation party. And then the next time I saw him in, what was the pub called?
I can't remember.
Come on, you do.
No, I can't remember. What
Anyway,
the Davy Crockett.
Yeah, the Davy Crockett, yes, many years ago. And I said to my girlfriend there at the time, I thought, where could this man be? I really, it's Vancouver. He could be anywhere. What if I never see him again? And literally I turned around and he was standing right there. And I said to my girlfriend, that's the man I'm going to marry. And that's what we did. I've been with Ken since I was 19 years old, 4 kids, a set of twins, and something else about our twins, and something else that is not said these days, but you know, never mind what's going on these days. I want to focus on Ken and I and our relationship. But graduating high school, in my yearbook picture, in my ambition, I wanted to be in hotel management and have identical girl twins. Well, I graduated, and I also would say that I wanted 4 kids by the time I'm 30. Most people these days would think you're crazy.
That's right.
But, you know, that's what I wanted. So years later, we were coming up to that. I had Alexander and I had miscarried. I had Paige and I had miscarried. I begged God for those miscarriages back in twins, and I have identical twins. And they're 22 years old. And so, you know, the thing is, I am a woman of faith. Ken is a man of faith. And we have really tried to allow God in our life and allow him to shape our journey and our direction. And, you know, we pray together and we work together and we live together. And I just want to be a partner to Ken. Yes, I have my own identity, and that, yes, I have my own independent, but together we're dependent on each other. I'm very much like, you know, in work and whatnot, I'm very much like Ken's personal assistant in helping with him with his job and things like that, and being a mom. We've always worked together. So we've been able to work together, raise our children together, and be together. And that seems to have worked for us for 30 years.
You know, Lesley, I think what's important, and one of the reasons why I chose you as a couple, is because I believe that you're both independent and there's no codependency. What there is an interdependency. And so you work together for the goal. And I see how you've raised your family, how how you do your work, and how you have such a strong faith. And I will tell everybody, this is not the last session that we're going to do it on dialoguing. We have about 4 or 5 other subjects that could kind of rock your boat.
Thank you. We're going to get really real, Sandy, and that's what I like about your channel, is we're going to talk real stuff and talk real, and neither one of us have a gag. We want to be able to tell the truth and to be honest and authentic.
Right, and to share. Okay, and so what I want to go on next, first, Ken, I'm going to read what your endorsement was. And then you guys can tell us what your process was for the first chapter for the self-discovery. But this was it, because it was like, stop living on autopilot in your relationships, okay? And so this is what Ken and Lesley wrote. Game Changer, we found to be a positive, inspirational, and thought-provoking self-discovery relationship model for everyone of all ages. It brings clarity and truth, which could be taught in high school. Ken and Lesley Donaldson. So I appreciate it. So if you can say what you did, I know you went away. Now the rest is your story on how it worked for you guys.
Well, you know what we did is we took the book when we had some vacation time. So we had some downtime with the family. It was just, I believe, Lesley and I and the twins. And my parents have a place in Southern California. So we went to Southern California for a summer several years ago and took that book with us. And our process was, we were just going to read 1 chapter a week. We're going to read 1 chapter, do the work, and just let it unfold, not have it be, has to get done and breakneck speed, but, sort of so that we could digest it and really, take it in and think about it and give it some honest thought as we went through the process of the book. And for Lesley and I, you know what, we think we know each other really well. We think we know what everybody's answers are going to be, but it was, like you say, it's a self-discovery. I can't be a good partner to my wife if I don't know what makes me tick, if I don't know what I like or what I dislike, what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy, So you sort of have to do a sort of a self-evaluation, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself. What am I looking for with a partner? What am I looking for with my future? What am I looking for financially? What are we looking for as values that we want to instill in our family, that we want to go forward in society? And part of that is breaking some of the habits that we come into our relationship with. I came into my relationship with my wife with a view of what my parents' relationship looked like or should be. My wife came in with a view of what her parents' relationship was and should be. So we sort of have to take the good from both of those and the things that aren't or didn't work or weren't working with us, and throw those things out and come up with a new plan. So it's about, we got to try this, and we sometimes have to try that, and then we have to go, we tried that twice and it didn't work very well. I think we need to take that idea and throw it out the door and come up with a new plan on our own, or a new way of communicating or getting our ideas across, or even just having time for a family meeting instead of, someone come through the door and go, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Well, sometimes that's not fair and doesn't give a person enough time to prepare for a meeting about important things that we want to talk about in our life and our future and how things are unfolding, or, things that we don't think we're maybe hitting the mark on, or that, we're falling short on. And, we have to sometimes step back and get together and say, you know what, on Sunday, let's get together and talk about our future, or let's get together and talk about, the direction our company's going, or the direction we want to go with right. Personal time as opposed to our professional time. And maybe we want to start scaling back on the work end and do a little more with the grandchildren and more with the family as we get older and, sort of closer to retirement. But I don't think we'll ever retire, because I just feel there's so much that we need to do and accomplish before this whole big ride is over. But I think for us, it's, it's taking the time to spend the time with each other, be honest about who you are, what you like, what you want, what you expect, and let your partner do the same, and then find the middle ground. Because relationships is about compromise.
Wait, did you say it's about compromise or not about compromise?
Oh, it is about compromise.
Yeah.
Do you think it's about compromise, Ken, or is it about negotiation?
Well, I think you're right. There is negotiation, but there are times when you have to say, you know what, this isn't the hill I'm going to die on.
Right. Okay.
You know, so we have to decide, you know, what are our pinnacle big things, and some of the peripheral stuff, you know, just doesn't become that important.
And here's the thing too. I've looked at it like this because Ken and I have been, it's maybe important for your viewers to know, is that Ken and I have been together since I was 19. I'm now 53. And the issue is we have created our own companies twice now, with only our very first year of being married that we didn't work together. We created Donaldson's Country Market. We did that for 10 years, but we had very clear roles. Ken was a postmaster. He was the firefighter. He did orders. He had different things in that. Those were his jobs. Then I had different jobs, but then I was also a wife. Then he's also a husband. And it was really in the very beginning of our marriage. You will know it was hard to nail down whose relationship or whose position are we in. And I think that that's something that many people struggle with right now, is somebody needs to, well, this is your role. Well, I want to do that role. Well, why are you doing that role? I want to do that role. Well, you know what? Not everybody's the CEO. Okay. Not everybody. You have to have a captain of the ship. And Ken and I actually did a seminar one time. This is for real. We went to marriage counseling, and it was a counseling session over a weekend. And one of the topics was, for the couples, would the captain of the ship stand up? I stood up, but so did Ken.
Right.
And the fellow on the stage said, and said to both of us, well, here it is. Here it is. Somebody needs to sit down.
Okay. Well, but
I sat down. So and that's the thing. I had to learn in order to be able to have this work. Otherwise, I'm going to be constantly doing this with Ken.
Right. However, I do think that we have to be the master of our own lives. I think
yes,
the master of our own lives, and then need to learn to work with someone.
Yes.
So when you guys, when you did take the book, Ken, I think if you can explain, there were 8 different areas, and that's the whole self-discovering. And I'm actually going to do a dialoguing short video on each one of them.
That's fantastic.
There's 8 areas, and I'm just going to give them a couple examples of questions, but you guys worked with it and answered the questions individually and then came together, did you not?
Yes. And Sandy, to elaborate a little bit more on what Ken was saying, we chose, not everybody wants to get their own book and read it by themselves. So, you know, however you make it work as a couple.
Right. Yeah.
So we as a couple, I chose to read it. Okay. I would read it out loud. Maybe Ken would read some of it. We would just have the one book, and we would take turns reading it and going through it. And here's the thing you talk about, you know, it isn't just all of us, you know, it isn't just sex, obviously, right? It's not just about that. There's so much that goes into your relationship. Is it your money? Are you coming in with debt? What are you going to do? Like Ken and I, not everybody has only one bank account, but that's how Ken and I have always been, is that what we have is what we have. And so, you know, going through even just that first chapter, not just the first chapter, but throughout the book, and it was very interactive. He had his own paper, pen. I didn't tell him what to write. We don't tell each other what to do. And you come together. And Sandy, I think in that, I think I said to you before, at the end of this exercise, we understood I would marry him all over again.
Right.
We are compatible in that way. But I think we really needed to go through your process. And we're out here in beautiful BC. Ken said, what if the train comes? I said, well, we'll just wait a minute.
It doesn't really matter. And another thing that I think is so interesting, because the whole first chapter is self-discovery, and
yes,
it's 8 different areas. And I do want to say, nobody is the same person that they were 2 years ago because of what we've been through collectively in the world. Number one.
You're right.
Right. Number two, I think what has happened is a lot of people have gone within. And so really the true colors of individuals, organizations, and the world has been revealed. And so that's why a lot of people, and right now it's to me, very important for people to understand the first relationship is with self. Okay.
Yes.
And then you have your other relationships. But right now, Lesley and Ken, there's a lot of people that are they're walking home and they're looking around and they're going, I'm done. They walk out. Number two, they're looking at a job and they're going to their job and they just say, I can't do this anymore.
Yep.
Okay. So people are making some very rash decisions. Sometimes it's based on emotion as opposed to, sitting down and thinking it through. And maybe when you go through the process, you will uncouple. Uncouple is the word for me, with grace, either in a personal relationship, a marriage, a friendship, a work relationship, whatever. But it's to do it like with more grace. And I think grace is a word in the spirituality or religion.
Yes.
Like how
Yes.
graceful can you live your life?
Yes. And Sandy, you're exactly right. And when this whole when our whole world changed and for the first time in our lives we're told to be locked down, Ken and I both said to each other, and our life changed dramatically at that time, but we said to each other, this is going to make us, not break us. And we chose to try to come out of this being the best that we could be. And not only physically, we worked out all the time, we changed our meal plan. I think everybody at the beginning, it's like a spring vacation. I think we all drank and partied and did Zoom meetings and partied all night long. But spring break had to come to an end at one point. And especially when you're self-employed, spring break could be every day. We can't live like that. We have to be disciplined and do things. But Sandy, too, where we are, just to let you know, like what Ken was saying is, we have to take a look at our health and our life, and we are not guaranteed tomorrow. And Ken and I have chose to sell our house, sell all our stuff. Oh, most of it. We do have a storage locker, but that's another story. But anyway, people have too much stuff. But anyway, we have changed our life so that we can enjoy our life and enjoy our time. In your book, it helped us to understand there are different stages in our relationship.
That's right.
We pay attention to the different stages of our children in their schools and things like that, and their life. They go from teens to everything. But here, what are you doing to evolve with your marriage? When your children are gone, then who are you? Who is your partner? What are you going to do? What do you guys want to do together? Are you all of a sudden living separate lives? Ken and I have never lived separate lives. We have worked together and lived together forever. And so now we live in our RV in BC and travel in and out of Alberta, and we have a great time.
Okay. And all points beyond.
Yeah, and all points beyond.
Exactly. And I want to say, there's two things I want to say. First of all, you said everybody partied. Well, the big thing that I've seen, because I was fairly detached, because I'm quite a private person. And so I called it the booze cruise. Yeah. Everybody was going on the booze cruise because they were trying to not accept what was going on. It was just too horrendous. So I'm going to go somewhere else. Then they realized it was going to be around for a while. Number one. The next thing that you said, as you grow as a couple, and we are going to actually talk, we're going to do a whole thing on this, another one. But I do want to say, years ago, because my background is hairstyling, a teacher, I've done lots of things. And I was working at the Mayfield Inn for Roger. He's now on the other side. He had a men's shop. So he did the most prominent men in Edmonton. Okay. We had a couple that came in in limousines for hot shaves. And so
Yes,
here's
I
me
remember
now.
you
I'm going to do hair. I had been in Jasper, or no, I went to Jasper after that. I'm doing hair for him because I had moved back from Hawaii. And so they would come in, and you know me, it's like, okay, let's figure out what you want, and then let's go. So what's your life? And the majority of them were businessmen. Okay. And it was interesting. The ones like about 50, late 40s, 50s, 60s. And I'd say, so what's shaking in your life? You know what I'm like?
Yeah.
What's happening? And they go,
Yeah.
well, you know, and this 8 out of 10 men. Now listen very closely. They said, we have looked forward to semi-retirement or retirements. We have a beautiful home down south. We got all excited because we're at the stage where we're either going to sell our business or do a profit sharing or just work as a consultant, okay?
Yeah.
And so they had said to their wives, we're all excited, we're going to move down. You know what they said? If you think I'm leaving my grandchildren to go and live with you down south, you're nuts. Those men went down. Now here you have to think cream of the crop from a financial point of view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had worked their whole life
Yeah.
to create this lifestyle. And
Yeah.
honest to God, it was at least 7 to 8 out of 10 men. I have learned so much where I work and the different things and I've never, ever forgotten that. And there's a lot of reasons why Game Changer was created. And that was one, like, why are relationships so dysfunctional, I have to say.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know what? Because and here's the thing. Did you have that conversation 20 years ago that when we come to retirement, are we going to want to go down south? Would you have told that person at the time, oh yeah, I'm going to go down south, and then 20 years later change your mind? I don't think so. I don't think the conversation was happening.
it didn't happen, Lesley.
Put out an option to say, hey, let's go for 10 days and come back for 10 days and then go for 10
No,
days.
that's
or however that looks.
negotiation. That's
Yeah.
negotiation, Ken. And the whole
Yeah.
thing is, that is one of the sections in the 8 sections of where you answer the questions in the self-discovery is, what are you looking for? What are you thinking of retirement? Where do you want to retire? Do you want to retire? There's so many different things.
And Sandy, just to let your viewers know, okay, we're here in the Lower Mainland. Our twin daughters live about 8 minutes this way, and our oldest daughter and our 2 grandchildren are about 20 minutes that way. So we've put ourselves in a position where we can be close to our family. We can fill some of those gaps that those children and grandchildren still have where they need us, and we can be there to be a positive influence in their life. And so we've put ourselves in a place where we can do exactly what we want. We can be with the grandchildren, we can be home alone, we can jump in an airplane and off to Toronto to go to work for a week, or to Winnipeg or Edmonton or Calgary or wherever the phone call leads us. And we're not tied down to anything here.
No.
Right. No, and I think, but so what you've actually done is, we talk about manifestation, and I took the law of attraction course with Jerry and Esther Hicks maybe 30 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we talk about manifestation, the law of attraction. What you've done is actually created your life. And so we could even talk about that one time, is that's, you created it. But I see the two of you, every relationship will have its struggles. You work through it, you put those aside, learned from it, and created the lifestyle that you want. And I'm glad you're talking about the grandchildren, because we are going to have a session on schooling. I'm just going to say the word schooling right now. Okay. Because as a former teacher myself for 20 years and seeing how the changes have been, and I'm quite active, I think that especially with your grandchildren, Lesley, and your daughter, the decision she's made, but we're not going to tell them what it is. Right. That'll be a surprise for everyone.
That's right. That's right.
Because I think that's really, really important. And so the next
and something I want viewers to know too is, you know, anybody who knows us, like you do, Sandy, you have had to say to me a couple times, if we're going to be honest, that, you know, Lesley, you're a bit hard on Ken sometimes. You should not be so hard on Ken when, you know, because we live and work together all the time. We do quarrel, we do argue, we do raise our voices, we do say fuck this or something, you know, we just do. And but you know what is good with Ken and I, we also have about a 5-second window where somebody better say sorry, and we say it together. And we say sorry and we move on, and we work on things, or we take a look at how did that just so go off the rail, an argument from 0 to 1,000. And it's like what Ken said, we need to be able to schedule time to be able to talk about our differences. You don't just walk in and go off on somebody and go, you know what, I was thinking about this today. And as somebody's doing something nice for you, they're not on the same wavelength. They don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden you want to have an argument about something. Well, that person doesn't even see it coming. So we have to be able to work with each other.
What I love about the two of you is, and I think that you can accept that part of me, is that I am very honest. Yeah. Honest and I've had people that have done the testimonial, and they say, hey, stay away from that woman if you don't want the truth. She does not sugar, no sugar. Right. Because to me, emotional honesty is so important, and expressing, because people will say, oh, you can't be angry. I went, why? I can be sad. I can be angry. And we're going to talk about the exercise Hudson learned when I was first working with him and Paige. Okay. Yeah. And that can go for everyone. We are part of nature. And I honestly believe that suppressing emotions and trying to be perfect and be, you know, and that's where we get the empaths, we get the narcissists, we get all that stuff. You will get physically ill.
Yes.
Okay. We just have
it's unattainable.
Yes. And
or unattainable and unsustainable. Sure, we can do it for a little while, but the more you keep pushing the powder into the powder keg, it's going to blow. So we have to be able to vent stuff out, and we can't just go, oh yes, I'm really happy about that, smile and nod your head. There comes a time when you have to be able to say, look, this just isn't what I like, or this just isn't working for me, or there has to be another way.
That's right.
Right. And that's the freedom of expression. And right now, that's another subject as it is. We're having a challenge collectively in the world about freedom of expression. Okay. Yes. And the bottom line is we are moving into the populist movement, the Aquarian energy. And that's why we're having such a hard time since 2008, because it's corrupt, it's control, it's greed, it's a lot of things. And this all had to be revealed, because I'll tell you something, come March of 2023, voices are heard. Okay. Yeah. And we need to have freedom of expression, and you just understand you want that, you go there, it's going to be fine.
Perfect.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, we're all about free speech. We're all against hate speech.
That's exactly. Right. And I think one of the things, Ken, that and we're going to kind of close off now for everybody, but we'll be back, is I think first and foremost, you have the experience of your own marriage, number one. Yeah. Number two, the business that you do, you're dealing with either truth or lies. Truth
right.
or lies. Okay.
There's no gray area, Sandy.
Right. But it's interesting because people will say to me, and we're going to close pretty soon. They say, but you know, Sandra, there's like a spiritual whatever, you know, and I go, I'm going to tell you one thing. Truth. For me, I put 5 scales on the floor, scales to weigh myself. I'm going to stand on all 5 of them, and I might be a pound or 2 different. And I'm going to tell you at the end of the month, when I look at my bank balance, there's no well, maybe, or the perception of. That's the truth.
That's right.
For me, truth is so important. I don't
Yes.
think we would have the challenges we do in relationships and anything if we could just be honest, be authentic. Authenticity, sovereignty is the big word right now, being able
Yes.
to express, and we have our personal rights and freedom. Okay. And so I want to thank you guys. And is there anything you want to close with? And
Well, you know
Well,
what?
you know what, I'll just say something really
Yeah.
quick, and you know what, relationships are, I said about hard work, but sometimes too, it's about having some good mentorship in your life, or people that you can look up to who had a successful relationship, or who went through some hard times or similar circumstances that you're going through, and you can learn a lot from those people. You know, it's sometimes a great idea to sit down with older people and listen. At one time when I had my store, I had 3 customers who were over 100 years old. 2 of them were married, and one of them was a gentleman who was widowed. But when Les and Jean Ritchie would come into my store and my son was there working with me, I would give him 2 options. I say, you can push the shopping cart around with Mrs. Ritchie and get her groceries, or you can sit down and have a cup of tea with Mr. Ritchie and he'll tell you a couple things about life. And I say, whatever these people, either of these 2 people tell you, 100 years experience of life, please listen and put that into your brain, and don't forget what they tell you. Mentorship and being sort of led and being an apprentice of somebody who's very successful or has a very good relationship can pay off. You know, there are a lot of little things that you can learn from a great couple that can help you to become a great couple yourself. So, you know, we of course, we need to know who we are on the inside, but we also need to maybe have some examples of things that we could aspire to. You know, I always say every day I try to get up and build my character. I try to become a better man, a better father, a better husband. I get knocked down. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't do the right thing. I get knocked down, but you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to try and build. I'm going to try and do better. I'm going to try and learn from my mistakes. And we just have to have that mindset that, you know, we can do better. There are people who can lead us and who we can exemplify and look at and learn something, and take the good, throw out the bad, and use what works for you.
You know, Ken, talk
I
about
love you. Oh, give me a kiss.
talk about serendipity. That is absolutely perfect to close it, because I'll tell you why I ended up, and I'm going to say it when I do another thing, why I came to the point where I wanted to write a book on relationships. I didn't know it was Game Changer, and I started it about 15 or 16 years ago. I had done my other book, say, because of so much doing readings and sessions with people, but I'm an avid reader, and I read on relationships, every spiritual, every business person. And there was a book that I will never, ever forget. And it was called The Millionaire's Mind. And this man had spent 25 years, and what he did was assess different, very successful people.
Yeah.
And out of that, 97% of the people said the reason they were successful was because of the partner they chose to share their life with.
That's
and
right.
With Game Changer, I always say, okay, the right one, okay, will assist you with your life. The wrong one can break you financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whatever, to the point that some never ever do require. And so there's red flags. That's why I do the self-discovery. Take the time, but Ken, that is absolutely perfect. Find somebody that's done it, talk to them about it, and if not in person, read about it. Okay. Right. And we're in a perfect time.
And if I could just give a shout out, actually, we had, I'll just wait one sec here. The gardener is just going by. But we do travel all over the place. And we are next in Edmonton the first week of December. Now, we did have a problem with our Google business. It was down for 3 days, but it is still up now. So you can always find us on itrpolygraph.com, or give us a call, and we'd be
Our YouTube
we'd be
channel?
happy. Our YouTube channel is
ITR Polygraph.
no, it's not. It's
The what?
the lie detector expert Ken Donaldson, something like that. I don't know.
Okay, what I'm going to do is on the hashtags underneath this,
Yeah,
get all the hashtags so that they can get a hold of you, Lesley. They can
lovely,
contact you
Sandy.
guys.
This is
Okay.
I just thank you so much
For having us.
for
Thank you.
having us. It is truly a joy. It's been a long time since we've been doing any videos together, so it's a really so much fun. You're a
It's
joy
so much
to watch.
I know
And
it's so much fun because I started with you guys doing them. Remember, I didn't do the camera. I didn't know how to do the lights. And I'm still learning, for God's sake.
I know, but look at us, we're doing it. We are in 2 different provinces and we did it, and I'm so excited.
I know.
So
I know.
thank you, Sandy.
Thank you guys, and love you lots. And I'll connect with you as soon as I'm done here, because I'm going to send it in to be put up on YouTube, and I'll share it with you. And I'm going to
Thank
make sure that I have all the correct hashtags for anybody that wants to get a hold of you. And we're going to plan the next one. I don't want to push it too much, but we talked about a couple that are going to absolutely shock. One is a story tale, I think, a story. I wrote them all down. But we're going to do that. And so what I want to do is I just want to make sure that I don't pause, that I stop this. So just have patience, and thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.